Welcome back, Axis and Allies player, Wars of the World, Series 2, the American Revolution. Take it, Nato.
Hello everybody, this is Nato at the Nest with the second half of 1780 in the American Revolution. And England is not doing much. It has no navy with the exception of that right there, so it's not really hardly doing anything at the moment. Its one and only front is right there. England did attack. This time a combined American and French force caused 3 casualties for 4 of their own. So, and they took all the casualties on the French, going with the strategy of the French will bear the brunt of the fighting, allow the Americans to build up, and all that right there is in the Northeast Territory, but the territory is so small that having to do kind of like an expanded box kind of thing. But as you can see, the American army is building up steadily. Now it's close to a force equal the size of the British army. England did buy more frigates, and they put them in Sea Zone 3 to try to make it so they'd only be facing a portion of the Spanish Navy, not all of it. Americans once again didn't attack, just built up. France loaded up their transport and their army in northern Spain, and it is coming across the Atlantic, and they went south, so it looks like they're going to be making for a landing probably like New Orleans to try to go after those French victory objectives and to hit British production, because all those territories are 2, 3, 4 IPC apiece. Spain sent one of its fleets up to tangle with the British fleet, and it was an even fight, 3 frigates versus 3 frigates, and the Spanish won with 1 frigate surviving. So once again, the British Navy's been swept from the oceans, minus that. And then Spain loaded up its own transports and started sailing across. So it looks like they're going to be landing in the American colonies somewhere. So the Allies are making a pretty strong statement and sending very big armies across the Atlantic to decide the fate of the fledgling American rebellion, because France and Spain only have a handful more turns left before they're out of the war. Excuse me. Seems I can't go more than 2 turns without sneezing during the filming. But anyways, Spain continue to lease America more money. That's what's been keeping America afloat this whole game, is money from England and France, and more recently, their respective troops. But bought more frigates to make sure they're dominant, make sure the Allied dominance of the Atlantic continues unabated. And that was the end of the turn. So we'll come back next turn, a new year, 1781, sorry. And we'll see what happens. Hello everybody, this is Nato at the Nest, and this is the first half of 1781 in the American Revolution. England is one and only real front. England attacked in the northeast again, were able to drive out the French. Didn't touch the Americans, only drove out the French. And then bought 3 frigates and put them in the English Channel. And that was it for the English. Americans just continued building up, didn't attack, just building up their forces in the northeast. France landed in New Orleans and didn't take the territory outright because England had reinforced it with a second militia anticipating the landing. And despite all that, they're only able to get 1 hit. So the zone is contested, but France didn't take it. And then Spain landed in the northeast with its army and attacked the British, and got 3 hits and inflicted 3 casualties for the price of 1 themselves. And then the ever persistent Spanish Navy hunted down the new batch of English ships and sunk them all once again. So it's kind of a cat and mouse game. Spain is running around the sea zones surrounding England, chasing down and sinking British ships wherever they put them out. And that was the turn. And so we'll come back with the second half of 1781 and see what happens. Hello everybody, this is Nato at the Nest with the second half of the 1781 turn of the American Revolution. And this was a big turn, a monumental turn for America and the Allies. England was in control of the Northeast Territory right there, and the victory points were sitting at 5-3 in England's favor. Well, England skirmished in the northeast and took some Spanish units down, but it was inconclusive, and bought some frigates and put them way up there. And then England England pretty much just sat behind its defenses and it was just going to play a defensive game. So then came the Americans' turn, and remember how the Americans and their allies had adopted the strategy of let the French and the Spanish do the ground fighting to take the pressure off of America, give it some time to catch its breath and build up its army. Well, that strategy paid off immensely because America felt the time was right and came out from behind their defensive works and went on the offensive. And as you can see, completely drove the British out of the northeast, sent them into flight and sent them into full retreat, and finally solidly secured the northeast that has been fought over this entire scenario so far. And then following that, the French secured New Orleans, and then immediately following that, because the Americans had cleared out the Northeast, that opened the way for the Spanish to attack New York. Now, they didn't take it, but they contested it and caused some British casualties, so now it's going to be that much easier for America to take it, or attempt to take it next turn. And then, once again, Spanish fleet chasing British ships and sunk the new British fleet up there. So the victory points went from 5-3 in England's favor to 5-4 in America and their allies' favor. So that one battle, that one roll of the dice, completely turned the tide of the war. So huge turn for America and her allies, and just goes to show how these games go. Everything can be going fine for you one moment, and one roll of the dice, everything's suddenly turned on its head. But the war is not over. Still got 2 more years to fight, so 4 more turns. But America went from almost certain defeat to solid chance of victory in one battle. So great news for America and its allies and everyone watching who was rooting for them, and we'll see if the Americans can keep up the momentum and secure victory for themselves and gain their independence. So see you next video for New Year, starting 1782. I'll see you then.